If someone hands you $1,000,000, best you become a millionaire, not just by the money in your hand, but by the mindset in your head. Because here's the truth. If you don't develop the mindset, the habits, the philosophy of a millionaire, sure enough, the money will vanish. Like sand slipping through your fingers, it finds its way back to those who've prepared to handle it. It's not the money that makes you rich. It's your thinking. It's your disciplines. It's your daily decisions when no one is watching. See, money flows. It flows to those ready to respect it, to multiply it, to protect it. And it runs from those who treat it casually, who think wealth is luck, or that success is some accident. Somebody once said, if we took all the money in the world, divided it up equally, gave every person the same amount, it would soon all be back in the same pockets. Think about that. Why? Because the pockets don't control the wealth. The mind does. The wealthy have trained their thinking. They've built the habits that attract money, not chase it. Success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. Attractive in skills, discipline, mindset, vision. You don't stumble into keeping wealth, you grow into it. You prepare for it before it arrives. If someone hands you $1,000,000 and you're not mentally, emotionally, financially equipped to handle it, the money leaves. But if you've invested in your personal growth, if you've studied wealth, practiced discipline, built character, then the money has found the right home. That's why most people who win the lottery broke again in 5 years. Why athletes making millions bankrupt when the spotlight fades? But those who think like the wealthy, they don't just make money, they keep it, grow it, multiply it. Because they became the kind of person success can stay with. So, here's the real question. Are you working harder on your job or on yourself? Because when you grow, your wealth follows. When you sharpen your mind, strengthen your habits, and raise your standards, life brings you the resources to match. And when that $1,000,000 arrives, you'll be ready to keep it. Let me tell you, how you begin your day often determines where your day takes you. Most people roll out of bed, stumble through their routine, and let the day take them wherever it pleases. But wealthy people, the ones who create financial freedom, they don't leave the direction of their life to chance. They take ownership from the moment their feet hit the floor. And one of the most powerful ways they do that, by beginning every single day with financial focus. Now, I'm not talking about greed or obsession. I'm talking about clarity. The first 15 minutes of your morning, those quiet moments before the world starts pulling at you, are the perfect opportunity to train your mind where to look and your energy where to flow. I learned this practice years ago from mentors who were already living the life I wanted. They told me, you become what you think about most of the time. So, if you want wealth, freedom, and peace of mind, you've got to condition yourself to think about those things in structured, intentional ways. Here's what I did and still do. I spend the first 15 minutes of my morning visualizing my ideal financial life. Not just vague dreams, but specifics. What kind of income do I want? How much do I want saved, invested, or growing? What does generosity look like in my life? I close my eyes and I see it clearly, the bank accounts, the investments, the freedom, the choices. Because you can't hit a target you can't see. After that, I review my written financial goals. Not once a year, not when I feel like it every day. Why? Because repetition builds belief, and belief builds behavior. You review those goals to remind yourself that wealth is built brick by brick, not by accident. And some mornings, let me tell you, the vision feels far away. Maybe the bank account isn't where you want it to be. Maybe the debts are louder than the dreams. But that's when this habit matters most. When circumstances whisper doubt, your vision has to shout louder. If you'll discipline yourself to start your day this way, 15 minutes of focused visualization and goal review, you'll be amazed how your actions begin to align, how your decisions sharpen, and how your results follow. Wealth isn't a mystery, it's a mindset practiced daily. It's a fascinating thing about success. Most people think it's this giant leap, this overnight transformation. But the ones who actually build wealth understand it never starts that way. It starts small. It starts with a single disciplined step. See, the mind plays tricks on you that tells us if the amount is small, the result is meaningless. But let me tell you, wealth isn't measured in the first million. It's measured in the first 100, the first 1,000, the first disciplined decision to put something aside and not touch it. When I started, I didn't have much. In fact, I remember sitting there with only a few dollars to my name thinking, what difference can this make? But then someone wiser than me shared a simple truth. The first $100 you save is not about the money, it's about the person you become in the process. That small win teaches you that you can do it, that you have the discipline to set something aside, to delay gratification, to think bigger than the moment. So you save that first 100, and suddenly your belief starts to grow. You think, if I can do 100, maybe I can do 500. And you build, brick by brick. Now the first 1,000 arrives not because you stumbled on some miracle, but because you built it intentionally through small daily disciplines. And here's what happens with each milestone. It's not just the bank account that grows. Your confidence grows. Your belief grows. You start walking differently, thinking differently. You start understanding that wealth is less about luck, more about repeated small victories compounded over time. I've watched people save that first $100 and something changes. Their shoulders square, their thinking sharpens. The first 1,000, they realize they're no longer at the mercy of every financial storm. 10,000, that's when the real momentum kicks in. And by then the habit is so ingrained, wealth becomes the byproduct, not the obsession. So never despise small beginnings. Wealth doesn't arrive by accident. It arrives through small, consistent wins. You save a little, you build belief, you save more, belief turns into identity. And before long, you're no longer trying to become wealthy, you already are, because wealth follows the person who respects the process. Most people let their money disappear the moment it arrives, like sand slipping through their fingers. But let me tell you, wealth never builds itself. It gets built by design. And if you don't give your money an assignment, I promise you somebody else will. You've got to build a strong financial framework, a structure that holds your money accountable long before it tempts you with distractions. It starts with intention. Every dollar that comes into your life must have a name, a job, a destination. You see, poor thinking lets money drift. Trick thinking gives every dollar a mission. When I first learned this, it changed everything. I used to spend, then wonder where it all went. But the wealthy, they plan first, they spend last. That's the difference. The framework is simple but powerful. Allocate every dollar into categories before you spend a dime. Essentials come first, your roof, your food, your basic needs. Without stability, no wealth can grow. But after that, you prioritize savings. Even if it's small at first, savings is your foundation. It builds your sense of security, your options, your strength. Then, investments. This is how you multiply money instead of merely holding it. Investments grow quietly while you sleep. They're the seeds of future wealth. But most people never invest because they never plan. You fix that with structure. And don't forget giving. It sounds strange, but giving unlocks abundance. When you practice generosity, even with small amounts, it rewires your thinking. You stop operating from scarcity, and you start believing in overflow. You tell yourself, there's more where that came from, and strangely enough, there usually is. The mistake most people make, they let their emotions dictate their spending. They see, they want, they buy no plan, no system. But emotions don't build wealth. Frameworks do. When you pre-assign your dollars, you take back control. Money becomes your tool, not your master. I remember when I first did this. It wasn't about how much I had, it was about how I handled it. The act of dividing that paycheck into categories, essentials, savings, investments. Giving gave me a sense of authority over my finances. It made me believe I could handle more, and over time, more came. Wealthy people don't get lucky with money, they get intentional. They build structures strong enough to hold success when it arrives. And if you build that framework now, success won't just visit, you'll be ready to keep it. Time is a fascinating thing. Everyone gets 24 hours a day, whether you're broke or wealthy. But here's the hidden truth. Most people miss the wealthy act rich in how they use their time long before they ever become rich with money. You see, money is replenishable, but time only moves one way. And the wealthy know that how they treat their hours determines how soon they build their fortune, whether they build one at all. It starts with awareness. Most people drift through their days reacting to life instead of directing it. They let the minutes slip by on distractions, gossip, or mindless entertainment, then wonder why their goals feel so far away. But the wealthy, they treat time like gold. They invest it, they multiply it, they protect it like their future depends on it, because it does. I remember learning this lesson early in my journey. I used to think busy meant productive, but busyness is a trap, the appearance of movement without the progress. What changed everything for me was realizing that one focused hour, spent wisely, can do more for your future than a whole year of scattered effort. Think about each single hour spent reading the right book, having the right conversation, making the right decision can open doors, spark ideas, or build skills that compound over a lifetime. Meanwhile, hours wasted scrolling, complaining, or drifting are lost forever. You can't recycle time. That's why wealthy people schedule their priorities before their distractions. They block out time for learning, strategizing, building relationships, creating value. They say no to interruptions, no to unproductive meetings, no to people who drain their energy. It's not arrogance, it's stewardship. And here's what's interesting. When you act rich with your time, protecting it, focusing it, investing it, you start thinking rich too. Your decisions sharpen, your confidence grows, and eventually, your bank account catches up to your behavior. I've seen people double their income, not by working harder, but by thinking differently about time. They stopped trading hours for dollars and started building skills, systems, and assets that produce income beyond their immediate effort. That's the magic of using time intentionally. The wealthy know this: waste your money, you can earn more. Waste your time, it's gone forever. So, if you want to live rich tomorrow, act rich with your time today, because how you spend your hours is how you build your life. Let me tell you, the greatest fortunes, and I'm not just talking about money, are rarely built on chaos, randomness, or chasing every shiny object that floats by. They're built on consistency. You see, the wealthy don't necessarily do more things. They do a few essential things, but they do them remarkably well, and they do them every day, every week, every month long after the excitement fades and the ordinary settles in. It's a lesson I learned early when I was still struggling to make sense of success. I'd meet people who were talented, ambitious, full of ideas, but they never stuck with anything long enough to see the harvest. They'd start a project, abandon it for a new one. They'd pick up a book, never finish it. They'd set a goal, get discouraged, and quit halfway through. And I watched the pattern their life stayed stuck on repeat. But the wealthy have this quiet, almost unglamorous relationship with consistency. They understand that planting seeds is only the beginning. The real wealth shows up for those who water the soil daily, even when the harvest is invisible for a season. You want to build wealth? Pick one investment vehicle. Maybe it's real estate, maybe stocks, maybe building your own business, but stay faithful to learning, refining, and growing in that space for a year. Mastery isn't about dabbling in 10 things. It's about compounding your efforts in one direction until the results become undeniable. The same goes for habits. Want to change your financial destiny? Start small but consistent. Maybe it's saving a fixed amount every paycheck. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a wealth-building book daily. Maybe it's reaching out to one new connection a day. Those little, invisible acts, the ones no one claps for, compound into unshakable wealth over time. I've always believed discipline is the bridge between thought and fortune. And discipline is nothing more than the habit of doing what needs to be done consistently, whether you feel like it or not. The wealthy don't gamble on motivation, they rely on routines. So here's the challenge. Choose one investment, one goal, one wealth-building habit, and give it the gift of your consistency for 12 months. Ignore the noise, the doubts, the temptation to jump ship when progress feels slow. Wealth isn't built in explosions. It's built in quiet, consistent repetition. Master a few things, do them well, and your results will start looking remarkably rich. One of the greatest thieves of joy, progress, and even wealth is comparison. You know, we live in a world where it's never been easier to see what everyone else is doing. Their vacations, their new cars, their homes, their supposed successes. It's like peeking through a window into someone else's highlight reel. But let me tell you something. Comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20 is a sure way to stay stuck, frustrated, and broke both financially and mentally. I learned that truth early on. I'd see folks in sharp suits, driving shiny cars, living what looked like the dream, and for a moment I'd question myself, my journey, my progress, my timing. But what I didn't see was the sleepless nights, the failures they pushed through, or the decades it took to build that life. All I saw was the polished result. And if I wasn't careful, I'd fall into that trap of thinking I was behind, that I wasn't enough, that maybe success wasn't meant for me. But here's the cure, and it's simple, though most overlook it. Gratitude. The wealthy, those who stay wealthy in mind and wallet, practice gratitude daily. Because gratitude refocuses your mind from scarcity to abundance, from lack to potential, from comparison to self-awareness. It starts with a small but powerful habit. Every morning, before the world competes for your attention, declare one reason you're grateful for your current financial position. It might not be where you want it to be yet, but it's yours. Maybe you have the ability to earn. Maybe you've started saving. Maybe you've invested time learning. Whatever it is, anchor your mind in gratitude for that. Why does this work? Because when you focus inward in your growth, your journey, your discipline, you build confidence. Confidence to stay consistent. Confidence to make bold decisions. Confidence to stay the course when others' success tries to distract you. But when you focus outward, on the noise, on others' results, you dilute your energy. You question your worth. You lose time, and time, my friend, is the most valuable currency the wealthy protect. So every morning, fight the comparison trap. Replace it with gratitude for what you've built, for how far you've come, and for the fact that you're still in the game, building brick by brick. That's how you avoid the trepan. That's how you rise. You know, one of the greatest threats to wealth isn't just bad investments or poor decisions, it's distraction. Distraction is subtle. It creeps in wearing the disguise of entertainment, convenience, or even productivity. But let me tell you, distraction is expensive. It robs you of your most valuable asset, your focus. And the wealthy? And they understand that where attention goes, results grow. The poor scatter their focus. The rich guard it like gold. Now, protecting yourself from distraction doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentionality. And it starts by being brutally honest with yourself. Identify one habit that wastes your time, habit that's been robbing your future while pretending to entertain your present. Maybe it's endless scrolling through your phone, mindless television, gossip, or procrastination disguised as research. We all have something. The key is to name it. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. I remember when I started building my business, I'd tell myself I was taking a break with hours of television, yet wonder why my goals felt so far away. It wasn't until I replaced that wasted time with reading, planning, or learning that my life started to shift. Small daily deposits of value compound, just like wasted moments. Left unchecked, compound into regret. So here's the strategy. Take one time-wasting habit, just one, and replace it with an action that builds long-term value. Maybe instead of 30 minutes of distraction, you spend 30 minutes studying wealth principles. Maybe you make that phone call you've been avoiding. Maybe you review your financial goals or invest that time into building a new skill. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Success is built quietly through small daily improvements. But those small improvements only happen when you create the space for Themby, removing distractions that drain your potential. The wealthy don't have more hours in the day. They use the same 24 you and I do. The difference is how they protect their focus, how they guard their time, and how they trade distractions for disciplines that build legacy. It's not easy at first. Your old habits will fight for survival, but discipline, just like distraction, compounds. The more you practice choosing growth over comfort, the more your future starts working for you. Distraction is expensive. Focus is priceless. Guard it and wealth will follow. Let me tell you something most people miss when they start thinking about building wealth. They get so caught up in chasing the numbers, stacking the dollars, watching the bank account grow, they forget why they wanted wealth in the first place. And I'll tell you, money without meaning is one of the fastest paths to dissatisfaction. The wealthy who stay rich and stay fulfilled, they understand something deeper. Money is a tool, not the destination. See, money is like a hammer. You can build with it, or you can destroy with it. It depends on your intention. And if you forget that wealth's higher purpose is to serve, to create, to elevate your life and the lives of others, then you risk becoming a prisoner to your own success. You end up rich in numbers, but bankrupt in fulfillment. I've seen it happen, and I've lived long enough to know the greatest wealth isn't just dollars in the bank. It's the life you build because of them. So how do you stay true to wealth's higher purpose? You remember that money is a servant, not your master. You use it to buy back your time. You use it to provide for your family with dignity. You use it to invest in opportunities that uplift others. You use it to give generously, quietly, with the understanding that the measure of your life is not how much you accumulate, but how much impact you create. I've known people with big incomes, but small lives trapped in a cycle of spending, comparing, and showing off. And I've known people with modest wealth who live rich, meaningful, abundant lives because they direct every dollar with intention. They invest in their mind, their health, their relationships, and in causes that matter. That's wealth with purpose. And let me remind you, when your money serves a higher calling, it multiplies. It attracts more opportunity, more resources, more of the right people. Why? Because the universe has a peculiar way of rewarding those who steward their success wisely. It's not just about stacking up zeros. It's about stacking up legacy. It's about waking up every day knowing your wealth works for something beyond your next purchase. It works for your vision, your values, your contribution to this world. So keep building, but never forget, the numbers matter, but the meaning matters more. That's how wealth becomes freedom, and freedom becomes legacy.